Good morning. Good morning. Another beautiful Saturday weekend here. Fall is here. The leaves are changing. It's getting a little colder. I heard somebody tell me yesterday they got a little snow. We don't care. We're here for college football. This is the Tailgate brought to you by Campus to Canton. I am joined here this morning by a couple of my colleagues, and a couple will be joining shortly. Colin down there on the bottom, Brandon here beside me, and there's Matthew Bruning. How are we doing today, guys? Everybody looks so just wide awake and ready for another wonderful day.
Always. I'm always up bright and early, ready to roll.
That sounded like the first thing you've said all day as you just opened your mouth there. So.
I think it actually might have been.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
I mean, I'm going to call bull on that. You usually don't get up until like noon, right, Colin? I mean, do you even know what up and early really means outside of tailgates on Saturday?
No, absolutely not. This is absolutely the only reason I'm awake right now.
Well, we're happy that you're here with us. And Brandon, they're rocking the Michigan stuff. Didn't burn it after last weekend. You're a brave man.
No,
Brandon,
I'm hoping it's a happier day today. So
I hope so for your sake too. All right, guys. We're gonna try to help everybody navigate. This is the last big week of buys. You know, there are a couple hangers on after this, but this is really the last big one here, week 10. We're gonna try to help you guys with your prize picks, with your start sits. We're gonna pick a couple games, but first, we've already had a couple games. We got MACTION, baby. We got MACTION Tuesdays, MACTION Wednesdays, MACTION Thursdays. So let's talk some MACTION. We've had some big performances already. You might open up your fan tracks and see you're already down by 150 this morning. Trayvon Rudolph. Let's talk about him first here, guys. Second year, technically freshman wide receiver at NIU. Former walk-on, earned the spot there last year. Freshman All-American. And then this week just went nuclear. 14 catches, 309 yards, 3 touchdowns. Great way to start off your week if you started him. I would hazard a guess that nobody can send me a screenshot of them starting him this week. If you do, I'll send you some C2C swag. How's that? But I mean, let's go to you first, Brandon, over there. I mean, are we buying this performance? Are we buying this kid?
it is a huge performance, but it's just happens in college. Sometimes they just have, their day and have a big game. So I would need to see another, solid performance before I would trust it.
Would I change your mind at all if I said that over the past 3 games he's gone for 15.5, 34.7, and now 62.9 points?
That would change my mind a little bit. Yes.
Okay. I mean, because a lot of these MAC guys, they don't do anything, and then the MAC season opens up, and all of a sudden, they get 220 points in the span of 5 weeks. So Rudolph very well be one of those. I don't know. Do we have any other strong opinions? NIU's as an offense is interesting. We're going to talk about a couple other of their guys here in a second. But he might be their main receiver, especially since Tyrese Ritchie left that game the other night. He could be the go-to guy here down the stretch.
Yeah, and the week before this past week, he went 6 for 160 and 2 touchdowns. So it's not like this is his only big performance on the year. He's strung 2 together so far. I mean, I'll definitely be interested to see if he can keep it going. Because, like we'll talk about here in a minute, there's other players that we think of when we think of this NIU offense, but I don't think there's any reason why he can't continue this.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not a guy that's has a lot of aspirations for the NFL either, right? So I believe he's considered a redshirt freshman, so you probably get at least 3 more years out of him. Why not take a shot at him on your waiver wire? Maybe he becomes the focal point of this offense moving forward, and he's a guy you can start, for years down the road. He's obviously not going to get you 309 and 3 every single week, but even if he can get you, especially in the MACTION with the way some of these wide receivers put up points, if he can consistently get you 20 plus points every single week, I mean, that's a steal off your waiver wire right now.
So they bring back Rocky Lombardi, their current quarterback. He's a redshirt junior. I don't think there's any NFL hopes for him either, so he'll probably ride out that eligibility. They're going to bring back the entire backfield, assuming, someone might transfer out. I would be lying if I said that I knew anything about the line or the defense, but this is an offense that's bringing back a lot of pieces for next year. So I think this is something that we should be paying attention to. And if he's available on your waiver wire, which I would presume for a lot of leagues he was going into Thursday night or Tuesday night or whatever they played, I would go grab him. They have a really good stable of running backs there too, though, guys. And I think let's talk about them here for a second. Javon Ducker was the one that really had a nice week. This week had over 20 points in most scoring formats that I saw. But they have a ton of other backs. They have Harrison Whaley, who started off the season very hot. He's been injured the past couple weeks, and they have Antonio Brown, who was probably a recruit that was too good for NIU, but there were some potential attitude issues there. He winds up there. Ducker was thought of the same way. I mean, for a MAC team, this is a loaded backfield. How high are we on some of these guys with so many names back there, Matt?
God, you should not have come to me because I literally have no answer for you. I'm going to be honest. I pulled a Colin and I completely tuned out most of that because I was looking a stat up for something. And so
it's very easy to do when Austin talks. It's okay.
They're
fault you for that at all.
Good. I mean, I don't know. With that many of them there, I guess I'd like to see who's left if some of them transfer out. I don't think all 3 of those guys can be fantasy relevant, right? So I guess give me the one that stays. But I don't know who that's going to be. That's horrible, shitty analysis, but that's about what I got.
They're all listed as freshmen, which is like the other.
Well, that makes it
very difficult part. They're all first or second year guys. Ducker and Whaley were last year, and Williams was this year, or Brown was this year. Do you have anything on these guys? Colin, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I think that like Matt said, this is very crowded, so we need to see how this shapes up in the off season. Ontario Brown has kind of been the guy who's been forgotten about a little bit here. I could see him potentially transferring out and going somewhere else, assuming he has those attitude issues straightened out. Because like you said, he was a little bit too good, air quotes, of a recruit for NIU.
I feel bad saying that for all the Saluki fans that tune into this every week.
Yeah, but I think the biggest, the 2 I would like the most is Ducker and Whaley. Whaley, we saw it from last year. He's been banged up this year, so that's opened the door and given the other guys the opportunities. And then Ducker, like you said, was also a guy who, air quotes, was probably too talented for NIU as a recruit. And, he's looked really good here these past 2 weeks. So those would be the 2 I would focus on.
Some other big performances, guys, not just limited to NIU. And welcome in, Mr. Chris Moxley. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Good morning.
You sound like you are ready to be here as well. That's what Colin sounded like when he kicked off this morning.
It's not good to be in the same bucket as me.
Little sleepy. All right, we had a big performance from Lou Nichols. We're not going to talk about him. Everybody knows Lou Nichols at this point. But how about his teammate Khalil Pimpleton there for Central Michigan? 5 catches, 115 yards, a touchdown. Also had 2 return touchdowns. So if your league counts any sort of return scoring, you are probably sitting pretty this morning. Pimpleton league winner, guys. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Brandon, you're buying this?
Well, one thing I didn't realize, because I actually started Ja'Cory Sullivan in this game. Was he injured? I didn't see that, but he didn't. He's been having a few good games recently.
He didn't record a stat, but I did not. I don't know if he was injured or anything.
Well, anyway, that was very disappointing to me to see that he wasn't getting anything. And all I saw in the box score was just Pimpleton, catching passes. So, yeah, I think he could be a league winner.
For sure. He's been great recently.
Former Hokie too there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he transferred after his freshman year, but I mean, he used 3 straight 100-yard games receiving. I actually like the quarterback there. He's pretty interesting, Richardson. So I mean, they're not a bad team either. They got a max schedule. I think that the Chippewas could pay off for you down the stretch. Richardson, Nichols, and Pimpleton. But Pimpleton, is he a guy that could go day 3 in the NFL? He's
It
pretty
always
dynamic.
makes you. It always makes you feel a little better when some of these guys were originally G5 or P5, right? I mean, went to Virginia Tech, left after 1 year, so maybe he could have made it there. We don't know. That probably helps him, adds to the mystery. Do you guys? I mean, day 3 capital, maybe? Colin, Matt, anybody? Brandon?
I definitely don't think it's out of the realm of possibility here. I mean, he's putting up solid numbers here this year. Like you said, he has a bit of a recruiting pedigree of sorts there. I do question it a little bit because of the size at 5'9", 175. But I mean, we've seen Tutu Atwell go in the 2nd, so why can't he go in the 6th?
We're going to use that 2-2 one to rationalize like a shit ton of really bad decisions for the next 5 years, aren't we?
I'm excited.
That's the thing. It's not even Tutu. And I can't remember all of them now because I went back and listed like 10 of them. But we did this recently on the W debate when I talked about how I think Calvin Austin will get day 2 draft capital. There's a lot more wide receivers who are like below 5'10" and weigh in the 170 to 80 range that have been drafted excuse me, in the past 10 years, and people realize there's more, and a lot of them have produced. Cole Beasley is one that pops off the top of my head. There's a bunch of others. Like, there's guys who produced. If they're used the right way, they can be. Yeah, I think what helps Pimpleton probably get that too is what he can do on special teams, right? I mean, obviously, the 2 punt returns for touchdowns last night, if he continues producing like that, someone's going to take him even as just a special teams guy. I mentioned that a lot with Phillip Lindsay when he got drafted. That Denver talked about him just being a special teams guy, and then they saw how explosive he was, and he ended up working his way into the starting rotation as a running back. So I think Pimpleton can easily do that, especially if he continues to produce on the special teams side. And it's crazy that I was just looking it up on Fantrax. Now, I don't know if they add in the points that he scored from the other night already on the Fantrax. I would assume so, maybe.
I believe they are. I believe they are included in his total already.
All right.
Like,
so I mean, with that, then he's sitting up as wide receiver 16, so he does have the benefit of playing this week on there. But he's only 55% rostered, which I think is a little crazy for a guy. Because even if you take those points away, he's just based on this, he's still top 30-ish, 35. Based on, I don't know exactly how many points he got. So still pretty good for a wide receiver, especially with his usually as deep as starting spots as you have in the C2C league.
If we're going to take away one lesson here this season, guys, I think it's that, the Pimpletons and the Sorensons and these guys we're going to talk about here in a second, they didn't do anything through the non-conference. But boy, when that MAC season rolls around, that's their time to shine. So if you can, I mean, don't freak out. I've had Pimpleton in a couple teams and I was like, geez, I expected this guy to do something for me. This guy's doing nothing. And well, look at these guys now. Speaking of Jack Sorenson, leading receiver there for Miami of Ohio. 14 catches this week, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, put up a nice 54 points for me in a couple of different places. Made me smile Wednesday morning when I woke up. Jack Sorenson, league winner. I mean, I'm just going to keep asking this after every single one of these. I mean, all these MAC receivers. Chris, Jack Sorenson, league winner?
Yeah, I love Jack Sorenson.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Jack Sorenson. You and Colin blew up my spot when you started talking about him, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, he ended the year last year on fire, and they only played 3 games. But I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, he's definitely the wide receiver 1 there. And the quarterback play has been better. So why not, right? You get a MAC schedule. Like, there's not much. All of these MAC receivers, like you said, just all of them could be league winners.
I think that opens up actually a really interesting discussion too, because we know we want MAC players, but a lot of these guys are seniors. Jack Sorenson is a 5th-year senior, I think. So he's going to be gone. 6th-year senior. Yeah, he's been there for forever. Pimpleton can go. The guy we're going to talk about next can go. Yeah, there's a lot of these guys. Justin Hall, who we don't have on here, but another MAC receiver who pops off. A lot of these guys are going to go. So we want the replacement. And there's not really a clear-cut guy in most situations right now. So these are all situations that I'm going to be monitoring really closely at the end of the year here to try and figure out who's going to be next.
Yeah, and then the last guy here, and then we'll talk some prize picks here, guys. Bryant Koback, I think he's a known commodity at this point. 15 carries, 180 yards, couple of touchdowns. Did most of his damage there in the first half. I believe through the first quarter he had 102 already. That Toledo offense humming along here now with him and Daquan Finn, another name. We're not going to talk about him, but somebody to be looking at. Bryant Koback, league winner, guys. I'm really creative this morning with the the questions. I'm sorry.
I mean, Mox definitely thinks so. I feel like he's talked about Koback every single week and then just kind of stopped. Maybe that's because, everybody was kind of Kobacked out there at that point. But yeah, I mean, he not only because of the rushing, he brings you some receiving upside as well. So
yeah, I like Koback a lot. I actually think he's kind of talented. Like he has requisite size. He's 6 foot 210. Like he's a junior. He's fourth year, but he's a redshirt junior, I believe. So he's a guy that I think will probably come back. And I think he's a guy that you probably want to have on your teams for next year. Like I think he's gonna have a huge year next year too. Like he's just solid all around. Like I actually think he's a good player beyond blowing up in the MAC.
That's what worries me a little bit about him, because he was recruited to Kentucky and he was going to go there. They were really excited, and then some personal situations happened and he needed to go back closer to home. So he ended up at Toledo. And he's looked really good the past couple of years. He's got the size. He catches passes. I definitely think he's a draftable prospect. Whether he comes out, I don't know. But I definitely think you're going to get something on the NFL side from him at some point. Maybe it's just, a backup, like a Devontae Booker type of a situation where he fills in for a starter and puts up some really nice weeks, but doesn't have a whole lot of standalone value. But he's going to end up on an NFL roster if and when he comes out too.
He put up 20 carries for 114 yards against Notre Dame. I mean, that's really the only team this year that they've played, but he did well in that matchup. Not that Notre Dame is necessarily as stout defensively this year as they have been in the past, but I mean, that's a good sign, right? I mean,
he produces against good teams like consistently, like back to last year too. He was doing it. I mean, he had like 8 catch games against Power 5 opponents, in his history. I mean, I think you're right, Colin. I think he's a day 3 guy. Like, I think he's going to get drafted when he comes out. Like, I think he's good. I just think he's good and has the size.
All right, guys, that's enough MACTION. We can only have so much on any given week, but I'm sure we'll be talking about them again in future weeks. All right, guys, let's talk some prize picks. Let's win some people some money today. How's that sound? We like money. We like prize picks. For those that don't know prize picks, it is a really cool website that is all player props. It is just a lot of fun to play. You basically pick between 2 and 5, parlay them all together. And depending on how many you play, obviously it multiplies how much you win. If you hit all of them or a certain amount of them, we're going to give you some of our favorite props for today. And hopefully, get you guys some cash. So let's go Brandon here. We'll start with the quarterbacks. What do you like today, Brandon?
Yeah, I like Devin Leary from NC State. He's playing Florida State today, and the over-under is 264.5 passing yards, and I take the over. The last 2 games, he has over 300 yards, and they just really haven't been able to establish the run as well as I think they want to, so they've been passing the ball more. So I see the over there for Devin Leary. Next is I'm going back into the Bo Nix train, so I'm going to go over on 23.5 rushing yards. Played Texas A&M today, and 3 out of the last 4 games for Bo Nix, he's gone over 30 rushing yards. And the 1 game he didn't was against Georgia, and we know how good that Georgia defense is. So I'm going over for rushing yards for Bo Nix. And last is Dylan Morris from Washington. He is horrible, and I don't know how he's going to get over the 221.5 passing yards. I'm going the under there. He's had under 200 passing yards 3 of the last 4 games. The one he did get over, it was only at 217, and that was against the horrible Arizona Wildcats. So that passing game was just not very good. So I'll definitely take the under for Dylan Morris.
Man, that feels like a really good one right there. I might have to text my hookup and see if I can get a prize picks in here before the games kick off. Chris, you've got a couple quarterback plays here as well. What do you like?
Yeah, I think Max Johnson's going under 217.5 this week. I really don't trust this LSU offense right now. I actually think we're going to see some Nussmeier in this game. We have been seeing him, and I think the theory is like they just want to keep him playing so he doesn't transfer out. But I don't even know if Max Johnson will get enough attempts to get this number. And this number is a big number against the Alabama defense. I just don't trust LSU this week, and they don't have any receivers. Like they're all hurt, or they're hurt. If you know what I'm saying. And then the second one I like is also quarterback under Malik Cunningham under 222.5. He struggles against good defenses passing the ball. He's a good quarterback, but Clemson is not really the matchup that I really am targeting him with this week. He's been really good this season. He's gone over this number 5 times already, but when he plays good teams, like he played Mississippi, he was under 200. He played Boston College. He doesn't even have a great defense, and he was under 200 again. This is a tough ask for him. I think he can get there fantasy-wise on the ground, but I'm definitely not taking the passing over for him.
Well, from one rushing quarterback playing a tough defense to another, Mr. Bruning, what do you got this week? Look at that segue.
Willis. I'm going to take the over on the 64.5. This is the game, right? I mean, it's the game I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be tuning into. I feel like, golly, of course now, Freeze has had this circled on his calendar for the past couple of years, knowing that he's going to get to go and get to play Ole Miss. It's a big game. I mean, this is Willis's chance to really prove it because we've talked a lot about it on this show, excuse me, and other shows. He struggled against some really bad teams. If he can go out there and light it up against Ole Miss, I think he's going to get some serious draft capital. So he is, I think he's going to go over here. I think he's in for a massive game. And then I've also got Sam Howell. I mean, I talked a lot about this last week, and I didn't get a chance to do it, so I'm going to do it now. I like to live a little dangerously when it comes to Sam Howell.
I also like to live dangerously.
And he's hit every time I've gone over on these passing yards. I think this is going to be a really good game against Wake Forest. Neither one of these defenses are very good. I think Howell's going to throw a ton to his guy, Josh Downs. So I'm taking the over on 334.5 passing yards for Sam Howell.
We're going to pick that game later. So no spoilers. Don't tell us where you're going with this one, Matt. But that is probably a good call there. Colin, what do you like this week?
I have the Tyler Van Dyke over 284.5 pass yards. He's hit that mark very comfortably the past 2 weeks, 325 and 426. I think that he's just a guy that's just going to continue to put up really solid numbers this year. He's looked good. In the games that he has started, he's gone over 200 in every single one. The Virginia game was a little bit rough at 203, but all the other ones have been 270 or above. And then I also have, sorry, I disappeared here. There we go. My second one I have is the Jeff Sims rushing prop. I've taken the over on 57.5 rush yards and pretty comfortably on this one too. He's hit that mark back-to-back weeks here. He was really close to that the week before that. Ever since he's been back, he's looked good on the ground. I think this is a pretty comfortable one.
And I also have a Tyler Van Dyke prop here this morning. I have him over 23 fantasy points. I feel, basically for the same reasons that Colin just said there in regards to the pass yards, and he offers some rush upside as well. 23 just seems incredibly low against a Georgia Tech team that's not like, a dumpster fire defensively, but they're not amazing either. And then Sam Hartman is the other one. I'm taking the other side of that UNC Wake matchup. Like 29 fantasy points for a game that has it like the game total is 77 or something last time I checked just seems kind of criminally low because it's not like they're a rushing team at all, really.
I love this. I was going to put it, and then I saw you had it. I think it's way too low.
Yeah, I was shocked that it was a 29. I thought it would be like, 35, 36. I don't know why it's not higher. So, I played that already this week. Unfortunately, I also played Cameron Rising on that ticket, so that's not going so well. Running back plays. Brandon, let's go over to you again first. Kick us off.
Yeah, so I have Devin Neal from Kansas. The rushing yards is 56.5. I'm going the over. He did have a rough game last week against Oklahoma State, but they have a good defense. But before that, he had 4 games over 50 yards. So, and this is just a little over 50 yards. So Devin Neal, I'm going over. And then Trey Siggers for SMU, I'm going over on 13 fantasy points. I think this might be one of the first ones I've done on fantasy points. But last 4 games, he's all been over 13 fantasy points, and he's had at least 13 carries in the last 5 games. So he's getting some good work for the opportunity to score points there. And lastly, it's Jalen Warren for Oklahoma State. They play West Virginia. And the prop I'm doing is the 0.5 rushing TD. I'm going over, so just score 1. I think they'll be able to move the ball, and then when they get in close, they'll use Warren to try to score a touchdown.
Betting on Trey Siggers is like I feel like I've been burned so many times, Brandon. But I'll follow your advice. I'll do it just for today. Chris, what do you like today?
I like Marquise Irving over. It's actually up. It's 72.5 rush yards. I'll still take it. They just run the ball. Like, they're going to probably run the ball 50 times today, and he's operating as the 1A, 1B with Kai Thomas. So I think that number's a little low, given what we know about Illinois' rush defense. Their rushing success rate is 77th in the country, and they're really allowing a lot of teams to run over them. And even though it's gone up, I don't care. My second one is Abram Smith over 101.5. I actually took him last week too, I think on the fantasy points. He's operating as the lead back there for Baylor, and they get another good matchup this weekend. And TCU is one of the worst defenses in the country, which probably contributed to Gary Patterson leaving unceremoniously. But he could have another 150-yard game. This is a low number given TCU ranks bottom 5 in rushing success rate. And then my last one is Deuce Vaughn over 39.5 receiving yards. He hits this with a lot of consistency. Generally, I think he's already hit it 5 times this year. They get Kansas today. I don't know how much he's going to be involved in the rushing game, but I do think he's going to catch a couple passes early where that gets us to that number 35.5. And I like the Trey Siggers one. I didn't have it, but Ulysses Bentley is out this week, or probably out this week. And so I think that's a good call, Brandon. Nice hedge.
Matt, what do you like?
I'm going back to the well with your guy, Israel Abanaconda. He's got a 0.5 rushing touchdown prop on there again this week. I mean, he's got more touchdowns than Vincent Davis there rushing the ball. Dang it, I just had it. Duke has given up 19 rushing touchdowns on the season. That's a little over 2 a game, technically. So I think he's easily got a shot to go in there and get a rushing touchdown today. I think that Pitt's going to end up winning that game fairly easily, and Abaconda is going to be able to get a rushing touchdown, so it just gives me another free win, just like last week when he got it against Miami.
He's been banged up. That's the only part that scared me off of his prop, because otherwise I pretty much completely agree with you, Matt. I think it's just a foregone conclusion that he can score a touchdown there. Yeah,
he's a football player.
Yeah,
they live in pain.
Yeah, they love it. All right, Colin, what do you like?
I have the Zamir White under 99.5 yards rushing here. And yeah, they get Missouri. Missouri's a terrible run defense. Honestly, he could hit this in 2 carries, and it really wouldn't surprise me. But I think this game's going to get out of hand pretty quick. They have a whole stable of backs that they like to just rotate in and use. And if this game gets out of hand, I could see them just resting Zamir White, giving Kendall Milton some run, giving DeJuan Edwards some run, James Cooks. They have a whole bunch of other guys there. And he's only gone over 99.5 yards once this season. Granted, it was last week, but I still feel pretty good about the under on this one. And then the next one I feel even better about. That's Tyler Goodson over 79.5 yards rushing. They get Northwestern. Northwestern has given up 2 100-yard rushers in back-to-back games. So over 200 yards in back-to-back games. Tyler Goodson doesn't split the carries with anybody. So maybe he hits 200 by himself, but I think he's pretty comfortably going to hit 100 here. He's been solid this year, not spectacular. Last week was a dud against Wisconsin, but that's Wisconsin. But outside of that, he's hit this more often than not.
All right, and I guess that just leaves me now, huh? So the only I really like Tavion Thomas this week, guys. If you guys can start Tavion Thomas, if you can play him on Prize Picks, I really like Tavion Thomas. He played last night, scored 4 touchdowns. Okay, never mind. Then the only one that I have is Travion Henderson. His rush total has gone up a little bit. I believe it's 101.5 now, 101 or 102, but not much of a difference there. I just like the over. I think that they're gonna, kind of be in cruise control. I'm not saying they're gonna blow out Nebraska, but I don't think this game's ever gonna be in doubt. And so that means it's a Travion week. And so over 101 or 102 yards feels pretty good. Receiving plays, Brandon, what do you like?
Yeah, I got Michael Mayer. They're playing Navy, and his fantasy points is 13.5, and I have the over. He has gone over that number 5 times already this season, and I just see him getting free against that Navy defense. So the over on fantasy points. Josh Downs, I feel like they do this every week. The over-under on his receptions is always 8, and the last 3 have been over 8, so I'm going to go over. Also, we talked about this should be a high-scoring game, and I think Downs is just going to get a lot of passes there, so the over for Downs. And then the last one is Tyquan Thornton for Baylor. As Chris talked about, the TCU defense is horrible. It gives up 262 yards passing a game, and he has 18 receptions in the last 3 games, so the over-under is 4. So give me the over for Thornton in receptions.
And Mr. Chris Moxley, over to you.
What do I have first? I think I have Jacory Roberson first. Yeah, I do. 5 receptions. I just think this game's going to be a shootout, and Roberson's going to need to be heavily involved. And that's really all there is to it. I mean, Wake Forest doesn't run the ball much. Sam Hartman's been awesome, and Roberson's a big part of that. And then I also have Josh Downs over on the 8. I think that's that number's too low. He's hit 8 every single game this year.
Yeah.
And then he's gone over some. So that's kind of like a gimme almost. That's just a weirdly low number. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys on Josh Downs, but I went with the receiving yards. I think he easily goes over 8, and if he does that, I think he's getting over 114.5 receiving yards. Again, I think he's in for a huge day today for UNC. If they want any shot in winning this game, they're going to need him and Hal to have really good games. And I'm also taking Jamison Williams over 79.5 receiving yards because he could realistically do that in one catch. I think he's really kind of become the go-to receiver for Bryce Young. Moxley mentioned earlier, this LSU team is not good. I mean, I agree with him, Max Johnson. I don't think any of those guys sorry, breaking news. I'm all rattled. Garrett Wilson's not playing today. That's awesome.
That's what are you trying to hide that from the people, Matt?
I just popped up on my phone. It just popped up.
Breaking news. I'm not going to share it though.
I'm trying to figure out how we're going to lose this game now. Anyway, sorry.
Go Huskers, baby.
Jeez. All right. Yeah. So for those of you watching, Garrett Wilson is not playing today. Undisclosed injury. All right. Anyways, I don't even remember what I was talking about. It doesn't matter anymore. I guess they could have used Jamison Williams if he wouldn't have transferred to Alabama today. I think he's going to be in for a big game. I do think he's become Bryce Young's guy. It's probably like the one call Felix has gotten right this year. So I'll continue to give him props on that.
Mayan Williams is a hit, Matt. Mayan Williams is a hit.
We will always agree to disagree on that one with Felix. But yeah, I think he goes out there. They have a huge game against LSU because Saban does not look like the guy who wants to pull punches when it comes to LSU. So I think they're going to run the score up, and Williams is going to be a huge contributor to that.
Colin?
I have Javon Halai over 87.5 receiving yards. He has very comfortably hit this in the past 2 weeks, 116 and 103. He's hit this in every game except for 2 all year this year. And they get Georgia State this week. Georgia State's a fine pass defense, but they're not anybody. They're like very middle of the road. So I think he's going to hit this one pretty comfortably. I also have Danny Gray over 5 receptions. This one's pretty close. He's right around 5 pretty much every week, but they get Memphis. Memphis is a soft pass defense. And I feel like this is a big Danny Gray week this week.
All right. And then just to me here, I have 2 Jacory Roberson over basically to score a touchdown. It's over 0.5. I think they feel pretty good about that. The other one, Devin Williams under 4 receptions. I don't understand the fascination with Devin Williams. I'm going to go to my grave wondering what people. He's averaging 3 for 60 this year, guys. He's got 1 touchdown on the year. It's a low volume offense. He's not good. Like I don't understand the fascination with Devin Williams. So I'm taking the under on 4 receptions, which a number that he's cracked 1 time this year. I think like twice on campus. I mean, just I don't understand
that
it.
Number. I missed that. That's a great line. Washington has like the best secondary in the country.
Yeah. That
like they're really good. That's
Anthony Brown's going to have a rough day. I mean, that whole offense, they're going to have to run it. All right, guys, we're going to go to start sits. Matt, you just gave us some breaking news. I feel like we would be doing everybody a disservice if we don't at least talk about this a little bit and its impact on some of the other guys on this Buckeye offense now. No Garrett Wilson for anybody that just joined us here today for Ohio State against Nebraska. Is JSN a big start? Like, is that just screaming start me now? Because I'm going in. I have a couple teams where I was debating him before, and now I'm like, I kind of feel like I got to throw him in there.
Yes, and that really sucks because someone is on my sit list today because I did not think he was going to have a good day because I thought that it was going to get funneled to Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave like it has. Yeah, because, Cam Taylor-Britt is actually a pretty good cornerback for the Huskers, so I think is likely then going to be on Olave most of the time. So I think that really gives JSN a chance to shine today. I will tell you guys that from what I was told right here, it looks like the next up in the rotation is Mecca, then Harrison, then Fleming. So I don't know if you really want to pivot to any of those guys. Yeah, I know. The Fleming part made me laugh too. But again, I don't. Fleming is not a great
way back there.
He's not a great player to swap in for Wilson though. They do completely different things. He's the Olave guy, so that's probably why he's third there behind for on the Wilson thing. But I don't know that means you want to play Mecca or Harrison, but it looks like they're going to get a lot of run today. So and I do. I think it was Moxler, maybe it was Austin that said it earlier. I actually think this is going to be a very close game. And Nebraska has not really been blown out in a lot of games this year. I think they're a better team. Their defense is a lot better than they get credit for. I think that this could be a fairly close game. So I think CJ Stroud and that offense are going to have to throw a little bit.
I think it's going to be like a 10-point game the whole game. Like I don't think it's a blowout, but I don't think it's, like we're sweating it down the stretch necessarily either. Personally, that's kind of how I read this game going. But I've not done so well on those kind of predictions on this show over the past few months. So take that for what it's worth. I might have missed it, Matt. Does this do anything for Travion or any of those guys or no? Like you just, same story there.
No, yeah. Travion's good. Much. I think the only thing that worries me a little bit about Travion is they're saying Master Teague is back. So I think that goes back to kind of, they're going to get him a lot of work as well, like they did when he was back and healthy a couple of weeks ago. So I still think Henderson's a guy. He's going to get you – I agree with you. He's probably going to get easily over 100 rushing yards in this one, but I don't think he gets the ball, 30 times in this one with Teague being back. They're going to mix him in like they have been all season.
Okay, guys, back to our regularly scheduled programming here. Start sits. Matt, we'll let you go first. We like you. We think you should go first.
Oh, thanks, guys. You're like the only 4 people in the world, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Fairly well hated everywhere else. All right, so I'm going to go with Jalen Knight, and he's been the guy for Miami ever since, and now I can't remember his name, but everybody loved him coming into the year. He was playing good and got hurt. I'm sorry, Colin?
Cameron Harris?
Yes, no, not Cameron Harris. He sucks.
Don
the
Chaney?
Other guy. Chaney, there we go. Don Chaney. There we go.
They both went down.
Yeah, but he is the guy for Miami this week. Georgia Tech is allowing 181 yards on the ground a game, and they've given up 11 rushing touchdowns on the year. Knighton can also do stuff in the receiving game. I think he's in for a big game because, Felix is too drunk. He's not watching this anyway. Tyler Van Dyke has improved this offense a little bit and made him look better, so I think that could help out Knighton a lot as well. So he is one of my starts for the week. I think he's in for a huge week. Next up, I've got Johnny Ford, FAU. I just traded for him. He's been coming on here recently. And Marshall is allowing 168 yards on the ground and 27 rushing touchdowns on the season. They are just getting gashed by the run. Johnny Ford, as I mentioned, has been playing well the past couple weeks, even though he is splitting carries a little bit, but he also has receiving upside. He's been catching the ball and scoring receiving touchdowns as well. So I think he's a low-end guy that you can start that should get you at least flex value, if not RB2 value this week. Oh, no, my mouse died. And then last but not least, Jamison Williams. I talked about him with the Alabama stuff earlier. I think he's in for a huge game today. He's I think going over 100 yards and at least one touchdown.
Literally the only player I'll ever admit to Felix that he was right and I was wrong about. Jamison Williams there. Chris, who are you starting today? This first one better start or I'm going to flip my shit.
I'm sorry.
They have a COVID outbreak. There's like 50 players might not be playing.
We don't know who it is the problem. Cal
Yeah.
didn't disclose any information. We just know that there's one. So if Chase Garbers does play, I am starting him this week. They get Arizona. He's actually been really solid this year as a fantasy producer. Surprisingly so. His some dual threat ability that's really hyped him up. But yeah, there's a big COVID problem at Cal right now. So like I say this with you might
Aaron
not want
Rodgers
to
go back to campus.
Is this game at 3? What time is this game?
It's at 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
Eastern Standard
time
Time.
to pivot.
Yes. I traded for him this week in a league because all of my quarterbacks are on bye at the trade deadline, and I cannot add anybody this week. So if he does not go, I have to start Jackson Dart.
Well, Dart might get some time. But yeah, they have Arizona. Arizona's terrible. It's not that complicated. Don't have to make it more complicated than that. I'm starting Rachaad White this week. We kind of got bamboozled last week because he dressed and was ready to go and then didn't come in at all. And Herm Edwards was like, well, he didn't practice, so why am I going to play him? Dude, you just dressed him. Don't dress him then. Anyway, college injuries. This is how we live our lives. I think he's in for a big week this week. I think Arizona State they need to get back on track, and White is kind of the big he's really the engine of the offense. He's just a fantastic player in all aspects. And I think they're going to use him because I think they missed him a lot last week. And then my third is A.T. Perry. He's been impressive this year as like the 1B to Jakari Roberson at Wake. We think this game is going to go crazy. I mean, the total 77.5 right now, I think, and it's just going up. I really like Perry this week. I actually think you can start Tyler Morin as well, who is the third wide receiver there, if you're really desperate. But I think A.T. Perry is a really good option, and he's probably someone you probably are starting anyway. But he's really good, and he's gonna have a big game because everybody in that game's gonna have a big game.
All right, Brandon, who do you like to start this week?
Yeah, Devin Leary again. I talked about him in Price Picks. I think he has a big game against FSU to start him. And this one is more if he doesn't have a big game, my anger towards Harbaugh will be even more. Andrew Anthony, he had that huge game against Michigan State last week. I don't know how he didn't have a reception before that game, but he showed the speed and he showed be able to be somewhat of a possession receiver in the end zone. So Indiana's defense isn't as strong as it was last year. So I'm starting him. This is kind of a sleeper kind of start. And then Parker Washington, he broke out last week with a healthier Clifford, 9 for 108. In Maryland is 101st against the pass. I'm having to start Parker Washington a couple places. So Colin, I'm hoping he doesn't disappoint me.
He will.
It's inevitable.
They always disappoint.
Colin, who are you starting this week?
I also had Chase Garbers for all of the reasons that your Moxley was laying out there. And it's Arizona. It's bad, but definitely monitor the COVID situation there. So I'll throw an extra one in here. Sorry, Matt, as we won't have a graphic for this one. But Isaiah Bowser is a guy that I'm starting here. He got 19 carries last week. The next closest had 8. So he's getting the work. He's back. He's getting all those carries. Mikey Keene, the quarterback, threw for 5 touchdowns last week, which matched his season total. I don't see that happening again. I think Bowser is going to be the engine of this offense. And Tulane is the 26th worst run defense. They average 185.8 yards against per game. So I think Bowser's a pretty safe start there. I mentioned it in Prize Picks. I also have Tyler Goodson as a start here. Northwestern's just a terrible run defense, and he's going to get the carries. There's nobody else to split with. I think he's going to smash. And then I'm also starting – I would start either of Nate Noel or Cameron Peoples. I think you can start either one of those two guys. They're going to be splitting the work there. There we go. Arkansas State's run defense is the second worst. They give up 257.9 rush yards per game. So both of these guys could go over 100 yards and still be under what they're averaging against per game. So I think these guys are both going to have huge days.
And the only one that I put down here for today, guys, Keaton Mitchell, running back for ECU. I only call Keaton Mitchell weeks against defenses that allow a lot of explosive plays. Temple does. They are 123rd in the country when it comes to limiting big rushing plays at basically every interval, 10 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards. So I think Keaton Mitchell breaks at least one big one today. And I think that it is a good week there for him. Sits, guys. Who we got? You got JSN in here. Interesting.
Yeah, I do. Speaking about that game, hey, Quinn Ewers actually traveled to Lincoln, Nebraska. So that's good news, right?
Well, Jack Miller got a DUI, right?
So yes, he did. Yeah, he's suspended. He's likely not coming back anytime soon. So let's go to my sits, and I know someone else is going to talk about him as well. So I'll try and keep it a little bit short here. Quentin Johnston. Baylor is the 42nd ranked defense against the pass. On top of that, he's really only had 3 good games this year, 2 that have gone over 100. And that third one, I believe he had 90 yards, but he did have a touchdown. He's just been very up and down. I think a lot of that just speaks to how bad this TCU team has been in general this year. Max Dugan looked good to start off the year, but then has really kind of struggled. So Quentin Johnston, I'm sitting him this week. Jackson Smith-Njigba. So you got Chris Olave and you got Garrett Wilson. Both those guys have been phenomenal all of this year. I mean, obviously, Garrett Wilson's out. I was trying to just go with my original analysis. I mean, we ended up being right. Me and Colin ended up being right about JSN last week. He was like the 64th ranked wide receiver. He had 90 yards, but that was it. He did not score a touchdown, didn't do much else. I expected that to happen in this one as well because Garrett Wilson and Olave are such a focal point of that offense. But with Wilson being out, I'm not going to change it. I stick to my guns, but I'm probably going to eat the L big time on this one. He's going to have a massive game today. And then last but not least, I have Tyler Algier. I know they're going up against Idaho State? Yeah, Idaho State. And he's been on fire. I just don't think he's going to be in for a massive game today. I think you sit him. I don't think he finishes top 50 at the running back position.
Fair enough. Chris, we're going over to you, right? Yeah. Who do you sit in today?
I don't know how you can start Tyler Batty against Georgia. Like, I just don't know how you can do it.
Is there a chance he catches a lot of dump offs today? Maybe.
Yeah. Connor Bazelak isn't playing. It's gonna be tough sledding for Missouri. I cannot tell you the last time that an SEC matchup had a spread of like 39.5. Like Missouri's team totals 10.5. I do not trust him this week. You have to be desperate, to be honest. I also don't like the entire TCU offense unless your name is Quentin Johnston, who, listen, I am a sucker. I know I'm a sucker. I don't know what to tell you. I will play Quentin Johnston this week. Baylor is 51st, I think, in defensive success rate against the pass. I think TCU is going to play hard today. Like, I really do. Like, they like Gary Patterson, the players. They will rally around him. I think it's going to be an emotional game for the team. I don't really trust anyone that much. Zach Evans doesn't sound like he's playing, though. And I don't really trust Max Dugan. But I think Quentin Johnston could be the focal point of the offense. So I'm a sucker, but I'm not playing anybody else. And then my last one is Zach Calzada. Auburn secondary is pretty good.
Were we starting Zach Calzada?
He's been good.
Okay.
Chris Moxley's QB1, Zach Calzada. What are you talking about? Of course we were starting him.
He's been better than I thought he was. Like, I looked at his stats. I was like, this is not Zach Calzada. This is somebody else. And it was fucking Zach Calzada. So I don't think you can play him this week. He's been better than I thought he would. You have to be desperate. This is like another, you have to be desperate to play Zach Calzada, period. But you definitely can't play him coming off like some big games.
You said you were a sucker, and then you just kind of wrote the next part by yourself. Brandon, what do you like to sit here today?
Yeah, still the Quentin Johnston, like Matt was saying. I don't really have anything to add. He's been so inconsistent, so I wouldn't necessarily trust that with how that TCU offense has been going. Next is Adrian Martinez. The last couple of years when he's played Ohio State, he hasn't necessarily played that well. I just have a feeling he's not going to have a very good game, even if they keep this, within 10 points like we kind of talked about. I just don't see him being able to pass the ball very well today. And this one I might be totally wrong about, but I'm saying sit Isaiah Spiller. Auburn is top 50 against the run. And the last good run defense or somewhat good run defense he played was Bama, and he did not have a very good game. And I think that Auburn will try to stop the run and make Calzada kind of beat them. So I see Isaiah Spiller not having a great game today.
All right, Colin, you also took the free space that is Tyler Beatty. Who else are you sitting here today?
I'll throw out just a quick one here. I would sit the entire LSU offense, to be honest with you. Against Bama, I don't really trust anybody here. Only caveat, you could start Jack Beck as your tight end because he does have tight end eligibility, and I think you would be okay comparatively to some of the other tight ends. But I'm sitting the Browns this week. First one sitting Letty Brown. Oklahoma State's run defense is the 9th best run defense in the country. They give up 94 rush yards per game. Letty Brown did have a really nice week last week, but he's been very, very hit or miss based on the opponent this year. And then I'm also sitting Chase Brown. Chase Brown hasn't topped 70 yards in 5 of 7 games this year. The only 2 times he did, 223 yards against Penn State, 257 yards against Charlotte. But Minnesota's a really good run defense. They're the 8th best run defense. They give up 93 rush yards per game. I don't think Chase Brown has it this week.
Which is surprising after they got carved up in that opening game against Ohio State, how they've kind of rebounded there. For me, I have a couple here, guys, real quickly. Anthony Brown, we talked a little bit about that Oregon offense the Oregon offense is going to have a tough day there against Washington's defense. And I think he's definitely a sit. They held Tanner McKee to like 8 points last week. And then the Tennessee running backs, I don't feel great starting either of them today. They've been getting a pretty even workload, which kind of hurts the value there, and they just have not been running the ball as effectively. All right, guys, a couple injury updates, and then we're going to do our picks for the day. In that Memphis SMU game, Brandon Thomas is out today. If you were starting Brandon Thomas, move him out of your lineup. Seth Hennigan is throwing lightly on the sideline, game time decision. I don't feel great about that. And then we talked about Ulysses Bentley earlier. He is sprinting and warming up as per usual. So something to monitor there for any of your Trey Siggers and or Ulysses Bentley plays. All right, guys, let's pick our games for today. We have, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of fun games, but not a lot of super high profile ones but I think we picked the best of the bunch here. Wake at UNC, potentially the highest scoring game of the season here, which means it will end a 17-10 snooze fest. I'm going to take Wake Forest, who are somehow a dog here, despite the fact that North Carolina just routinely shits the bed. I don't understand why they're a 2.5 point favorite.
Yeah, I don't really understand that one either. I'm on the Wake bandwagon here as well. I mean, Wake's been playing really well. That offense is a really high-powered offense. I think this is going to be the most exciting game to play here, to watch. I think it's going to be high scoring, and Wake has come out on top in every game like that this season.
I'm going the opposite way. I'm taking North Carolina. Wake, I know, has been fairly good, but I honestly think this is going to be a pick'em game, and I'm taking Sam Howell to have the big one here with Josh Downs. They end up getting the big win here, causing all kinds of confusion at the end of the year, as Austin and me, Felix, talked about on Devi Debate. This is not actually a conference game, so they will still be undefeated in conference play, even though they lose today to North Carolina.
Yeah, so I have Wake, and I don't really feel that great about it. All the data I look at has North Carolina over a field goal favored. I took Wake when it opened as well. I live 30 minutes from Chapel Hill. I watch UNC pretty regularly. They always collapse when they have the opportunity to do something great. That is who they are over the last couple of years. I think this is one of those games where they just can't pull it out. I think this could be a high scoring game, but I know this Mac Brown UNC team, and they're not winning today.
Yeah, I'll also take Wake Forest. I need Sam Hartman to have another 70-point fantasy game because I'm really in the hole against Sal in the program.
Fair enough. All right. That's all the reason you need some time. Auburn at Texas A&M, 3 p.m. kickoff here. Give me Auburn which I didn't see myself saying a couple weeks ago, but they've been decent the past couple weeks, and I just have this strange feeling they pull this one out. Bo Nix, Mr. Clutch. 101, Bo Nix.
I'm on the opposite side of this one. I'm going to take Texas A&M. They're favored. I just think they're a better team overall, to be honest with you. And can you ever really trust Bo Nix? I mean, he's looked good in spots and then just absolutely falls flat on his face. And Texas A&M has QB1 Zach Calzada. How can you go against that?
Yeah, I'm with Austin here. Auburn actually controls their own destiny to get into the playoffs, and I think that they actually have a shot to do that if they can win this week, which I think they should. They're just the better team. Texas A&M, I know they beat Alabama, and it was a great game for them, but if we're all being honest here, Bo Nix gets trashed a lot because of what he's done beforehand. He's actually playing much better this year, and I wonder how much of that is due to Harsin. This offense is playing better. They're mixing in Jarquez Hunter with Tank Bigsby, which none of us expected, but it's working well for that rushing game as well. I think Auburn's a better team, and they're going to find a way to win it today.
I have Texas A&M, and a lot of that is attributed to Jimbo Fisher. I think that he knows how to scheme against Bo Nix. He was talking about it earlier this week. Bo Nix has that, out of structure, he's just I don't know. He's like a wizard. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
He's really, really good out of structure. Jimbo Fisher talked about how they can contain him, and it was a big focus this week. And if he can't do that, I think they're going to have a tough sledding this week. So I like Texas A&M to pull this win out. And they're getting healthier on defense, which I think is big for them. So I like the Aggies.
I also like Texas A&M here, mostly because they're at home. I think it should be a close game, but the home edge, give it to Texas A&M.
All righty. Mississippi State at Arkansas, 3:30 p.m. kickoff. I'm taking Arkansas, very similar to why you just picked A&M there, Brandon. A home game. I think this is a pretty close one. In KJ Jefferson, we trust.
I'm going the other way on this one too. Here, I'm going with Mississippi State. It really just comes down to what Mississippi State team are we going to get? Are we going to get the team that beat Kentucky? Are we going to get the team that beat LSU? Or are we going to get the team that lost to Memphis? I don't really know. But when Mississippi's on, they're a good team. I think they're going to show up in this one.
I'm with Colin. I think Arkansas has been a tad bit overrated, or their defense has been a tad bit overrated because they went in and beat what we thought was a really good Texas team. And I think we now realize Texas is not a good team, at all. They have not been able to keep up with a lot of these teams. I mean, Ole Miss, I know, is a really good team. But Will Rogers has proven that he's a pretty decent, at least college quarterback, and this offense has been good. I think they're going to be able to pass on Arkansas. I think it might end up being a shootout game, but I'm going to lean toward Miss to get the win today.
Yeah, I like Mississippi State too. I don't know if I really like this Arkansas team that much. I think they're a little bit overrated, like Matt said. They started really hot, and then they got crushed by Georgia, but who doesn't? They then lost to Ole Miss, and then they lost to Auburn, and then they beat up Arkansas Pine Bluff, but cool. Mississippi State's playing a lot better, and their defense has come around. They're sharp. The data doesn't love this pick, but I think there's a lot more going into it than what we've seen earlier in the season. I think that this is Mississippi State's hot, I think, right now.
I'll go with Arkansas. I think with KJ Jefferson and Treylon Burks, I don't think Mississippi State will be able to stop them enough. So I think it could be a high-scoring game. But I think, too, when Mississippi State kind of gets in these games, they do something to, lose the game. And Arkansas's at home. So give me Arkansas.
All righty, guys. Oregon at Washington, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time here. Kickoff. Potentially a tricky game there for Oregon, but I am going to take them. I don't know if Washington can score enough to overcome Oregon there.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon's a really good team. I'm taking Oregon as well. They are, they had that bad loss to Stanford, but there's some, surrounding circumstances with that. Joe Moorhead wasn't there. Their OC, Kayvon Thibodeau, I don't believe is there either. Outside of that, they've looked pretty good. Washington secondary is definitely going to be able to contain Anthony Brown and that passing attack, but that's not the bread and butter for Oregon. Oregon's going to run the ball. in that Joe Moorhead offense. Is a big Travis Dye game here. And Washington's defense is not very good against the run. So give me Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily see Oregon losing the game today. Colin just mentioned the loss to Stanford, which is worse than bad. Like, there's just no words to describe how bad that loss was. I'll add, though, Kayvon Thibodeau did play the game. He got knocked out in half at the start of overtime due to a targeting call. And Joe Moorhead, last I looked, didn't call the defense, so they let Stanford score on him pretty easily. And we saw last night that Stanford offense is again horrible, but so is Washington. So I think they can keep it a close game. It's the border war here, but I'm going to go Oregon. I just think they're the better team.
Yeah, I have Oregon. Washington's secondary is really, really good. They have like multiple NFL corners on that team. They redesigned the defense last week because they had been really poor, but I don't trust their offense at all. Their offense is terrible, like truly terrible. I just think Oregon's going to run like all over them. I think Travis Dye is going to have a big week. I think Byron Cardwell could have a big week. I mean, I just trust the Ducks to win this one. But you know what's worse than losing to Stanford? Losing to a team who lost to Stanford. Imagine that happening.
What about losing to Montana?
Go Buckeyes. All right, Brandon.
Yeah, I'll take Oregon. Main thing, Washington's offense is not good. I don't know how they can't play a quarterback other than Dylan Morris because he's horrible. So, yeah, Oregon.
All right, last game here, guys. You get to give me your answer, just the name of the school. That's it. UTSA at UTEP. Battle for Texas, the real battle for Texas. UTSA for me.
Love the Miners, but I'm going UTSA as well.
Yep, that's gone. Okay.
UTSA.
Yeah, me.
UTSA.
Go Roadrunners.
All righty, guys. That is going to be the first hour of today's show. Thank you for joining us today. Good luck. Probably the last week of the regular season for most of you across all your leagues. We've got another hour of show coming up here, though. We've got, hey, who's that? Is that Alfred Fernandez? Whoa, what's up, Alfred?
Good morning, everybody.
You here to guide us through the second hour? Some DFS, some betting, some other good stuff, injury updates.
Yeah,
all that?
You know how we do it. This is the money making hour.
So really quick, and I'm gonna get out of here. Alfred, I love the whole get up. You're giving some serious Mario vibes right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out like right when we're done. So I'm like dressed up kind of nice and then.
Nah, you're looking good. I love it. All right,
well, I just
go
want to say
Buckeyes.
one thing, Chris. I am extremely disappointed to tune in and hear you going with UTSA over our UTEP Miners. How could you?
I like UTSA too.
They're gonna circle the wagons, baby.
I
don't
know.
You could bet against UTEP. They've been so good to us this year. This is egregious. All right.
Chris already told us he's a sucker today on today's show.
Yeah, I
so
did.
I think he just keeps
Playing like a
reaffirming it.
sucker. He's playing scared is
he
what he
says.
is. He's playing scared.
So.
Scared money don't make money, Chris. All right.
All right, we're going to turn this over to you guys.
Yeah.
Enjoy the second hour here. Good luck, everybody.
All right. It's just you and me, bud. And we're going to carry us to the finish line. And, first things first, we like to talk about things that have maybe changed since we recorded Why Wait Till Sunday. I've got a couple names that I've, as I built lineups throughout the week that I've kind of come in on a little bit more. Who do you like? I mean, is there anybody who's kind of popped for you in the last 48 hours?
I'm looking at the price of so Rodriguez Clark is interesting.
Right, because isn't Brandon Thomas
Yeah,
is
Brandon
out?
Thomas
Like, he's not warming up. Okay.
Yeah, Clark is 3,800. SMU's defense isn't very good. It's
This
worse
is
against the pass. Their
big,
secondary is really
actually.
bad. But I kind of like Clark. He's under 4K. The total in that game is massive, like massive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think Memphis is going to get there. If Hennigan doesn't play, and I have not seen if he's playing or not playing yet. But
I guess that's true. I mean, I watched Peter Parrish live when they played UCF. He tanked the whole offense. So if Hennigan's not playing, I mean, I guess I'm not sure. Do we want any running back for them? But SMU might be kind of the equalizer there. I mean, they really are pretty bad on defense. Now their run defense is actually the strength of their defense. Their pass defense, I mean, they can't do anything at all. I mean, the thing is, I don't know. Like if Parrish tanks the whole offense so much, maybe it's a moot point. Although Hennigan's warming up, at least.
Yeah, he's doing light throwing, whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Like, great, thanks. Like I have no freaking
But the
idea
question
what
is it Rodriguez Clark? My son is here, everybody. This is Big Jack, and he is 6 today. This is his 6th birthday.
Oh, all right.
We're gonna hopefully put in some winning lineups just for him. And
does he like Rodriguez Clark?
Happy birthday to Jack. What?
Does he like Rodriguez Clark this week?
Do you like Rodriguez Clark this week?
I don't know what you're talking about.
At least he's honest.
Oh yeah.
Neither does Daddy. Neither does Daddy.
Yeah. No, you want to say it? Okay. All right. So they have another back that I kind of like who gets a couple receptions. Since we're just on this, it's Marcavis Weaver, who has 9 receptions in 7 games. He could be interesting. What's his price point? I haven't even looked yet.
Probably $3K.
Probably. This is great. This is great content right here.
It late breaking.
I mean, this is what we do. This is college football at DFS. Let me see what is, because Weaver's caught 9 balls, which is kind of interesting. If he's going to get more of a split here,
3,300.
Yeah, I mean, I think either one of those guys is in play.
I prefer Clark because there's not a big because he's still under 4K, right? I mean,
well, the question is,
popular,
we've been talking about McIntosh all week, but
Yeah,
now is Clark a preferred play over McIntosh?
Yeah, because McIntosh is like
you hope for a touchdown
relying on the matchup.
I agree. So actually, that's a great flip. Any lineup that you are doing McIntosh as like a cheap punt against Missouri, which you got to like that. But I think Clark is maybe a preferred pivot now, and might get a little bit unpopular because it's kind of late breaking.
Yeah,
I mean, we still have an hour, but
I honestly have no idea how that's going to go. I don't know if people are going to play Clark if Hennigan's not playing. So you might get lucky.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, can you go upstairs and then we'll be done in a minute?
Okay.
Thanks, bud. Yeah. I think I still think maybe they feed Clark. Look, last night, I mean, Peter Parrish was bad when I watched him a couple of weeks ago against UCF, but look at what happened last night. Boston College put in Jerkovich, and he was coming off an injury, and they just fed Patrick Garwo 30 times, 30 terribly inefficient touches. He was like 30 for 100 yards. I mean, like 3.3 yards per carry, but volume is king. I could see them just pounding the rock today, especially if Peter Parrish is playing. Now, obviously, if they get down early, which is possible, probable against SMU, but if they could have some success running the ball, I mean, Rodriguez Clark could see 20 plus carries if they try to control the clock in that way. So, not having Hennigan definitely tanks the pass catchers, but I think at the price point, I still think Rodriguez Clark is a real nice pivot. So that's a key bit of information there. We can move on to some other anybody else.
Yeah. So I hate doing this because I think it's the right play, but I'm probably off Aiden O'Connell now.
Oh no. You got me on him.
I think he's going to be really highly rostered, like really, really highly. Like
yeah,
he
I was
probably
listening to a college DFS podcast this week, and they liked him too. So if people are talking about it,
everyone's talking about Aiden O'Connell, and so it cash, sure, play him if you want. I don't think you have to play him, but you can. you're probably not winning a tournament with Aiden O'Connell if Aiden O'Connell does not hit.
And it's a good potential. I mean, he's not like a lock to hit either. So, I mean, if you fade him, he doesn't hit, and you have somebody who's better. And it's not a terrible jump to go up to Clifford at 6K, which I already liked Clifford. So maybe I just do more Clifford than O'Connell.
Yeah. So I think O'Connell's probably like, if we're not taking any like rostership into effect, then he's probably the guy you want. But I don't know. I just can't really get there with him this week. I haven't been in a couple lineups, like, to be honest, but I am not playing him a lot because I just think he's gonna be the highest. He's too cheap. He's just way too cheap. Everyone's talking about him. I think we're gonna get 30 to 40% rostership on him. That's a huge number. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and there's no edge there. Plus, I mean, it is kind of a game theory where, like, I mean, there's a decent chance he busts. I mean, Michigan State is playing well, and it's not like their defense is bad. I mean, it's got taken advantage of by Michigan, but I think they got jumped with a game plan they weren't expecting. Purdue is not really the explosive type of offense. They're just that, pitch and catch short passes. I mean, they have like 3 or 4, other than David Bell. I think all the receivers are averaging like 10 yards per reception. So it's all kind of short inside the sticks passing game. And I think that might be where Michigan State actually really, excels on defense, because they do run to the football. They tackle very well in space. And I don't think Purdue may not challenge them deep. So it's I think that's a nice pivot. And I still like Clifford because I think Penn State is going to massacre Maryland. I don't think Maryland's got it. I've decided that they're a full fade pretty much every week for me. They don't seem to play with any conviction. I mean, you just watch them play and they're lifeless. The whole Maryland team just seems lifeless to me.
Yeah.
I think Penn State's just going to roll them.
Ever since they got basically broken by Iowa.
Yeah. Oh boy. And did they ever get broken? And I was on Maryland, and that was brutal.
Yeah. Hey, guess what, Iowa? You fucking suck. And you are now.
This is a family program. My kid was just here.
Well, he's gone. It's cool.
I'm just kidding.
He
hears me say it.
They are bad.
Yeah.
And they got exposed. And I'm just happy to see it because I am at war with the Hawkeyes.
Right. But they did. I think they broke Maryland. They really haven't been the same team.
That injury to Demas was really huge because he was involved in just so many aspects. Like, he was their returner, he was their leading receiver. I mean, that offense just hasn't really looked the same since he left. They've been a little bit better in recent weeks. I will give them that, but I don't really trust them today.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm coming around. So I have so much Mordecai this week. So much Mordecai. I mean, just 9K. We've talked about it on Why Wait Till Sunday. There's like 4 or 5 quarterbacks. You can all expect about 30 points. And the prize picks lines are the same. They're all right around 30 to 32 over under for like Willis, Mordecai, Howell, Hartman, and there's another one. But in any case, he's just the cheapest. So it's really easy when the upside's about the same and you can save money. Mordecai, I have so much Mordecai, but I have found myself a little more interested in Willis, because I just think, we know he's the entire offense for Liberty. Ole Miss, their defense is not good. It hasn't been good. It looked like maybe they had turned a bit of a corner in the beginning of the season, but I think since then they have shown to just continue to be pretty bad. And I think Willis, this is a premium get-up game at Ole Miss, SEC. Show, all this first-round buzz. Show these scouts. People are going to be watching this game. Important people that will make decisions in the draft, I think, will be watching this game against an SEC defense. And not, Middle Tennessee State. I think this is a big get-up game for Willis. I don't know about rostership. He may be popular, but he's the second least expensive quarterback behind Mordecai with a similar 30 to 35 point upside, maybe more, because he's going to get rushing that Mordecai won't get. And so I've kind of I've done a little more Willis than I originally thought. I haven't played him hardly at all this year. Liberty's been on a couple of slates, couple of short slates, night slates, but I've been staying away. But I think this week, I mean, this is a prime time spotlight game for him. I think he may just carry the team, that whole, narrative.
Yeah. I think you're right. I don't know. I'm
either that or he sucks and tanks his draft stats.
Yeah, I think Liberty's going to keep it close. I think there's just higher ceiling quarterbacks on the slate. But I don't really have much Willis, to be honest. But I don't think he's necessarily a bad play. I think he's probably going to have a big week. It's just, I think people are on him, kind of. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe.
I mean, there's 4 or 5 quarterbacks though that all give you the same stuff. So I mean, it's just kind of
yeah. So it sounds like Hennigan might actually be playing.
Well, that's good for everything. Then Ivory, like we talked about on Why Well It's a Sunday, is back in play. And then the running backs. I mean, you've got Clark, you've got Asa Martin, and you've got Weaver, all of which are under 4K. Clark apparently is questionable, but he's been warming up. You got Weaver at 33, and you have Asa Martin at 3K. I do like Clark. I think that's pretty good. I may do a little Weaver as well. But Clark, and if you had any lineups where you're trying to get cheap with Kenny McIntosh, I would put in Clark.
Yes, I agree. And he's $100 cheaper.
Now, we talked about this duo on Why Wait Till Sunday, wondering, I don't get why Kai Thomas for Minnesota is so much cheaper than Marquise Irving. The last 2 weeks since that Bryce Williams kind of went down. Obviously, we know that Potts was down. We know the original starter named Muhammad Ibrahim down. So they've lost 3 running backs. They're down to like RB4, RB5. That's it in the entire running back room. Last 2 weeks, though, Irving 34 for 215 and 3. Kai Thomas 42 for 245 and 1. So Irving scored 2 more touchdowns, but otherwise Thomas has actually gotten a few more carries and gained more yards. I don't know why he's so much cheaper than Irving. I've been doing a lot of Kai Thomas. I mean, I know you said you were on Irving, but it seems like it's a 50-50 split and they both may get 20 carries. Why not the cheaper guy?
It's game theory again.
Do you think everyone will be on Thomas? I guess that's probably true.
Yeah, I think Thomas would be really popular this week, considering how much cheaper it is a big mismatch between the two, to be honest.
Too big.
Yeah, like 1,300 is a lot, but if you think that Minnesota is going to have a good day rushing today, which I do, I think you can play Kai Thomas in smaller fields. How about that? So like I have some entries in like 250 player tournaments, right? And those are places where I would play Kai Thomas. But if you're trying to take down like a big GPP,
okay,
I think he's going to be popular, and I could be totally off base here. Like I don't do rostership projections weekly. I have my ear to the ground about who other people are talking about.
Sure, I think that's a good way. It's hard to get a true. I mean, we don't have the tools to get a true rostership projection. So I think hearing what other people are talking about is a good way to do it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think he's gonna have a big week, so you can play him. But I mean,
yeah, no, I get it. I mean, that's a strategic fade and paying up to be different. I mean, I get that too.
It's a big pay up though, is the only issue. Like it's not like a couple hundred, it's like 1,300.
It's pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to end up having a lot of Clifford, I think, especially if I flip out of Aiden O'Connell. The only guy that I can really get to easily is Clifford. I like it against Maryland, though. I really do. They can't run the ball. And like we talked about, why wait till Sunday? They have a top 10, they're over 30 projected implied total, top 10 implied total on the slate, and they can't run the ball. So it's going to be Clifford running or throwing. Speaking of which, then, I kind of like Keandre Lambert-Smith. You've talked about him earlier in the season. He's definitely Penn State's 3rd receiver, but he does lead the team in yards per catch. I think he's a little bit more of a deeper threat guy. And, we're talking about GPPs frequently. I wouldn't feel super comfortable in a cash game, but this is the type of play against Maryland, especially if you want to stack him with Clifford. You could be very different with Lambert Smith. He's like 3,800, 3,600, something like that. Very cheap. And I've been doing a couple of those little mini stacks myself. As I thought,
think that's crazy.
or either that or Parker Washington, like him too.
Yeah, I like Lambert Smith.
How about the Wake Forest backfield? So I dug into this a little bit more. Christian Beal-Smith, 5,500. I think that's a reasonable play against UNC. We didn't talk about him that much. Everyone's talking about Hartman. It's going to be Hartman, Roberson, A.T. Perry. These guys are all going to be, even Keyshawn Williams, who I think is maybe past Tyler Morin on the depth chart. He's 6,150 the last 2 weeks versus Morin is only 342 they both kind of play the slot. So Keyshawn Williams for Wake Forest is a play. He's very cheap, but Christian Beal-Smith, Turner, who's 4K, and Justice Ellison, who's 3,600. The nice thing about CBS is he's going to score a touchdown, probably 7 TDs in 8 games this season. Obviously massive scoring potential in this game.
I don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not dynamic. He doesn't catch a lot of passes. Like, he's not special, but he's their main guy, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, Turner's the least efficient on the team. He's kind of their bigger back. He's inefficient. He did have 10 carries against Duke, but that Duke game got way out of hand. So I don't know if it was just, putting in backups. Justice Ellison for 3,600. I think now that we've got the Memphis guys, it's not somewhere you need to go, but he's a super deep play because he could get 2 catches and 10 carries potentially if this game is just wild, and he's 3,600. But like, now that we have these Michigan guys, Memphis guys, I think maybe that's a moot point. And then finally, the other guy I've got is Jackson Anthrop for 4,300. You've talked about him before. I think he might be kind of coming on. They use him in some interesting ways. He had 5 carries last week against Nebraska. He had 11 total touches, 6 receptions, 5 carries. He did score his first touchdown of the season against Nebraska. He's basically the second receiver in touches behind David Bell. And that's because he's got 10 rushes on the season, plus his receptions puts him in second place behind David Bell. Payne Durham is out, who's their tight end. They haven't really thrown to any other tight ends. So I think the distribution could be more towards the receivers. I think it could be Anthrop lining up in the slot a lot. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's kind of a slot guy.
Yeah.
4,300. This was more when we were on Adrian O'Connell. I was like, he might be an interesting stack with O'Connell if you don't want to pay up for Bell, which I found myself unable to pay up for David Bell very frequently because I feel like I have to play Josh Downs.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I want to play Roberson and Downs more than I want to play
Bell.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my last guy I was thinking of is Anthrop. He's 4,300. So he's not sub 4, but it's pretty cheap for a guy that if you liked O'Connell, I think, you kind of like Anthrop. But yeah. I have no David Bell. I mean, we liked him. We talked about him while we were on Sunday. I just can't do it. I feel like it is just a losing venture to not play Josh Downs unless you don't play him and hope he gets injured. I mean, if he doesn't get injured, I don't see how he doesn't have like 8 for. I mean, his floor is probably 8 for 90, like minimum. I mean,
he's got 8 passes in every single game this year.
I mean, it's just he's the only guy they throw to. He's got the skill to beat any coverage, it seems. I mean, you'd think by now people are bracketing him. It doesn't seem to matter. He's a dynamic, speed guy, so I think he does beat coverages. It's not like you can just kind of swallow him up at the line of scrimmage. He will get past you. It seems just if you don't play him, you're just hoping he gets injured. Like, I don't see a way he plays the whole game and doesn't do what, you just said, 8 for like 100 almost.
And the one thing with him that just like keep in mind is that he's probably going to be very highly rostered.
Oh yeah, he will. Yeah. And he's expensive. And if you fade him, you can fade him for the Wake Forest guys. But every time I tried to do it, I was just like, this is dumb. to
Yeah,
not play downs.
Can you
Like,
afford?
You can have
not
one.
to
You can
play
have
him?
one GPP or something that you don't do it just for game theory wise. But
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, can you afford not to play him?
I'm pretty sure I'm 100% like, and that's probably dumb because an injury tanks you. So I probably should not be 100% downs, but I'm close.
Yeah, I have a lot of downs as well, so I'm not disagreeing with you.
All right, so we're at about the halfway point. There was a lot to talk about in terms of, I think, changes. We obviously talked about Memphis a whole lot. Bets. Anybody that you like? Obviously, we did the 3 and out. If you're watching this and have not watched 3 and out, you should definitely tune in every week. We have a nice little contest going with Chris and myself and Will Rivera, a writer for us, a bet. He writes for our bet columns. But do you have the confidence to take an under that I want to take? It's scary to me, but Army Air Force is under 37 in academy games in the last 2 or 3 years. The under is 11-1-1. Like, I don't know if you can set it low enough. I mean, the last few games between Army and Air Force are like 17-3, 20-10, 13-7. Like, these games don't even sniff 37 points, but I hate taking under 37. That just seems like it's going to be tilt city.
Can I get a 36.5? Is that out there?
I don't know why. Why would you want to go over?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, the thing is, a fumble goes the wrong way, or a short field, or a special team score, and you're in big trouble because you can't. That's such a razor thin margin of error. It feels like.
When I'm pulling up their pace stats real quick.
Oh, they play slow. Army's super slow. I know that. Air Force may not be as slow, but I don't want to bet it. It doesn't seem like a fun bet, and it's so low. But the under historically is just a lock and load in any academy game.
Yeah, 39. It's 39. It's 39-9-1 since 2005. I think that's like the long term one. I don't know though. Like, this is a really, really, really low number.
It's so low.
I mean, I don't know. I'm very much still considering taking the over here. This game kicks off in like 2 minutes, right?
Oh, it is an early kick. That's right. So
Yeah.
we probably don't need to spend too much time on it because it's going to be a moot point in a minute. I guess you could live bet it.
Yeah.
But couple others I really like. I like Pitt first half line. I think it's got to be like under 10 points. I don't have it up in front of me, but I just think Pitt is going to smash Duke. You worry a little about a backdoor cover, I guess, but
I have Pitt 21.
I like what
for the game. I have Pitt 21 for the game total.
Yeah, so that means the first half's probably like 12 or 13. So they'd have to cover basically 2 touchdowns.
It's I can find a 10.5 right now.
That's pretty nice. I like that. I mean, I think they're just Duke is so just.
I might do something with that.
They're real bad. I mean, there's a couple of first half bets I like. Pitt to cover the first half. Ohio State to cover 7.5 in their first half. Penn State to cover their first half 6.5. I like all those first half mismatches.
Like
you get a little, Bama, I think is what probably about 14, 15 in the
I think
first
it's 17, half. But I don't care.
I don't think it matters. I like all those first halves. And you don't have
Cincinnati.
To right?
Oh,
I mean, any of these just blowout
damn.
games, and then you don't have to worry about a backdoor cover. Although since he's been kind of chugging along a little less impressive lately, but Tulsa shouldn't provide much resistance.
Yeah. Can I find a 17 for Alabama currently out there? Because I got 17 earlier in the week.
I don't know. I don't have the sports book open.
Nope. It's 17.5 is the lowest. Damn. I don't think I would go over that. Like, 17 is kind of a key number. 17.5, like, you're basically expecting like another field goal or a touchdown, and like I don't really want I don't really want to play with that kind of fire. So I wouldn't take it if it's above 17. And Cincinnati's the same way, right? Like I can get them at 12.5. I think I can still get them at 12.5. That's what I had earlier in the week.
I like
But
that. If they score like 2 touchdowns versus a field goal, I guess you don't win that. You need 17. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, 2 touchdowns seems fair. Like I think some of these games are going to go like Utah did last night against Stanford, where it's just no resistance whatsoever with some of these just really bad teams.
Yeah, what can I get Cincinnati at right now first half? Can I get 12.5? 12.5 is out there earlier this week. There's still a 12.5 out there. I like that, I will say.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I also like the Baylor TCU under. The more I looked at it, TCU unders are 2-0 at home this year, even though their defense has been horrible this year. And then 6-1 over the last 2 years, the unders when TCU plays a Big 12 team at home. Baylor, the under away is 5-2 in the last 2 years, and it's a 58 total.
That was one of my picks on 3 now for my parlay. I love this under. And I've heard I think it was Tom Fernelli at CBS Sports was talking about this, and he was like, "Do you really think Baylor's going to run it up against TCU? No, this week? No, probably not. Like why? Like." Dave Aranda had a press conference talking about how much he truly loved and respected Gary Patterson. It was like,
oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, because it's a weird week for them.
Yeah. So do you really expect Baylor to run it up against them? I don't, which is why I'm kind of staying away from Baylor covering. I think that they could just play like they're going to have the game and they're not going to lose this game.
So
TCU isn't very good.
This is an interesting point. Then we like Abram Smith. Do you still like Abram Smith if you think they're going to play wimpy?
Yeah, no, I still like the Baylor offense in this game. I just don't think they're going to score do you really think TCU is going to score more than 25 points?
No.
Baylor to get
I don't think TCU
30, 31.
Yeah. No, that sounds about right.
I don't think that's crazy.
Okay. And then I do kind of like the Kentucky money line now. You can get almost plus money. So Kentucky started the week as think a 3-point favorite, and they are now a 1.5-point dog to Tennessee. Do we think Tennessee's that good that they deserve 4 points off the initial line? No, Tennessee is not that good. They have been interesting. Hendon Hurker's playing pretty well. This team is not good. And Kentucky's decent ball club and good on defense. They can run the ball. They can control the clock. I kind of like the Kentucky money line since I just think you're getting a tremendous amount of value here.
See, I'm totally on the other side of this. I took Tennessee when it opened at 3.5. I took Tennessee money line when it opened at plus 130.
Yeah, well, that's worthwhile.
Yeah,
I just think it's a value play.
I don't think that Kentucky's good anymore. I think the magic is gone. The defense is still okay. They're not the Kentucky unit that they've been. Will Levis is terrible. He turns it over all the time.
He's been bad.
Chris Rodriguez has not been as good as he usually is. Tennessee with Hendon Hooker has been a really different team. They've really been pretty good. They've held their own in quite a few matchups for the most part with teams that are just flat better than them. I think the narrative around Tennessee is, I think it's still clouded by the Joe Milton time. So I think they should open as a favorite in this game.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they opened as a dog, and it opened at 4.5. 4.5.
And I'd take it at 4.5. I mean, I love that at 4.5. I just think you're talking about some bulletin board material too for Kentucky to be like, okay, we are now a dog in this thing. I mean, I don't know. It depends on if their coaches talk that up or not, but
you know that they're paying the boosters are paying attention to that.
I mean, I would I just think I don't think Tennessee deserves that movement, and it's more of a value play. I think it's a coin flip game probably, but I would take Tennessee plus 4. But I'm not taking Tennessee minus 1.5 at negative payback. I think I just think at this point the value you can get plus money on Kentucky money line. I think, and that's a decent value bet is what I'm saying. I don't, it's not like a lock. I just think it's a value play that I would be interested in looking at.
All right.
Anything else for you before we get on to prize picks?
Yeah. So I have a couple more that I want to at least like mention because I think they're pretty interesting. I think this is a great week for unders. I mean, it's always a good week for unders, but I think one that's still out there that's pretty nice is Cal Arizona under. Cal has a lot of COVID issues, like a lot of COVID issues.
Are they going to play that game?
I think so.
I have the under, so that feels good.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is right now. Can you get a 50 still? I got it 50 and a half. They're playing no matter what. So I don't trust Arizona to score. Cal's defense is good.
Yeah, I have it at 50 and a half as well.
So I don't know if they're missing like a lot of defensive starters or what, but I don't trust Arizona to put up points regardless. Arizona's terrible. DK won't give games, of course, because of the COVID issues. It's out there on some books. DraftKings does not have it currently. But I love the under in this game. Like, I don't know how it's going over. I liked it before the COVID issues were like super public. Like I got it on Sunday. But I don't think that's crazy. One more that I'll talk about is I think that I have two, and I want to talk about both of them. Michigan State is the popular pick to lose this week for some reason. Like
not me.
Yeah, like so everyone's talking about Purdue. Purdue can upset big teams. Purdue can upset big teams. They've done it twice under Jeff Brom. Yeah, they have. But like I don't think that they can keep up with Michigan State.
I also don't think they're going to sneak up on Michigan State. Although they are coming off a letdown, that huge game against Michigan, but
yeah, the narrative is there for them to lose, right? Like it is, but it's 2.5. Like you're getting, or if you want to play the money line, play the money line. I don't care. But I just don't trust Purdue to win this game. Like I'm really surprised at how many people have Purdue. And so I just think Michigan State's better. Like I don't think they're close either. Like Purdue should not have beat Nebraska. Like
they shouldn't have.
They should not have beat Nebraska. Like they got really lucky. I think Nebraska was like 70% something post-game win expectancy, which is crazy. Nebraska's been on the wrong side of that a couple times this year. And then the other one is Wake Forest, North Carolina. Everyone is on UNC, and they just probably don't pay attention to UNC. UNC always lets down. Always. Yeah. Like, that is who they are. Last year, they were on fire. Then they lost to who did they lose to last year? I think it was Miami, where, like, they lost to FSU last year and had, like, a big, like, they were on their way, lost to FSU, and then the season kind of crumbled. I don't trust UNC to beat Wake. Like, all the numbers and everyone sharp that I trust is on UNC. I just don't trust them to win. Like, I really don't.
I'm definitely with you.
I'm a fan of this team. Like, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that they're going to win. But,
yeah. Hey, some updates as we go here. So for Ole Miss, Corral's warming up. It looks like he is going to play. I may do some Corral, to be honest with you.
He's too expensive, in my opinion.
Yeah,
to play an injured Corral.
But I don't know. I guess I'm hopeful maybe he's not super injured. But yeah, he's been a little bit funky lately. But that Liberty pass defense is not good. And Drummond and Mingo are not dressed, which means that I think what's his name? Ja'Cour Pearson is a play again. He's 4,900. I really like that. Braylon Sanders is also dressed. He's only 4,200, which I think is a potential play as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I was on Ja'Cour Pearson earlier in the week too, but this just kind of confirms my expectation that they're just going to be missing a lot of wide receivers. So I probably don't like Corral, to be honest. I just don't think there's a lot of value with him because he really isn't rushing at all.
Yeah, I mean, he can't. I mean, why are you going to? But does that mean he's a lock for 300 yards if he's not going to run? I don't know. I guess that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I actually think Liberty's going to keep this game close. for the most part. But I don't know. I don't have a play in this game, to be honest. I think there's a good chance this game goes under, to be honest. I think it's 66.5. Is that right? Or is it 70? I don't remember this total. I don't.
It's high.
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, I guess
high.
if we don't love Corral, I know you don't love Willis. Are you playing any Hartman or Howell, or is it like Mordecai and below for you?
I have a little bit of Hartman and Howell because I actually think people aren't going to be super on them this week with given how cheap the other options are. So like I think a lot of people are going to be on Aiden O'Connell.
Yes.
So I don't know.
And who do you like? Who do you like? Is Justin Olsen a tight end? I know you spotlighted him recently.
No, he's a wide receiver. He's running the second most routes, I think, right now, or third most routes behind Antoine Green. 3,300.
It's Downs, Green, and Olsen.
Yeah. I'm playing Olsen. Like I have a couple Olsen lineups. I think he's pretty interesting. I mean, we talked about him on Wednesday as like one of those really cheap dart throws.
I'll throw in one for you.
Which guy?
I'll throw Olsen in, not for you, but based on your suggestion. I'll throw one in.
I don't hate him. I like him and Ja'Cory Pearson. If you're trying to save a little bit of value, I think that there's value in having some of those cheaper options in higher scoring games. I actually have a good amount of Hartman and Howell because I trust that game to come close to the total or go over. That's what I feel the most confident in. And I have players in the Memphis SMU game too because it sounds like Hennigan's going to play.
Yep. So Ivory's in play now. If Hennigan's going to play, I think he's worth a poke in a big tournament.
He's 8,200, so you're getting some value there. And TC's pass defense is like bottom 10 in the country in terms of success rate and explosive plays. So really don't mind. So, okay. This came in a minute ago. Hennigan is taking first team pregame snaps and is announced as a starter in the stadium.
Hello.
So, there we go.
There we go.
I think you would play him. I like him.
There we go. I like it too. That's nice. Good. Okay. I mean, now I got to get some Hennigan in. Jeez, this is
what is the current total in the
SMU Memphis?
The Ole Miss game.
I will tell you in 1 second. Great content here. We need to talk about prize picks too, but that game current total, it's a nooner, right?
66.5.
So.
Thank you, producer Austin.
Thank you. I think I'm going to be on the under in that game. Based on the conversation that we're having, right? Like who's Corral with? Like, who's he going to throw to? And he's not running. It's like, how is Ole Miss hitting that total? I actually think Liberty's going to cover here. I'm not that confident though, because I've seen Liberty play really poorly, including a loss to ULM. But I think this game is going to go under. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable expectation.
Yeah, that's a big number. Ole Miss's defense isn't that bad. Like they're not as bad as they've been in recent years either. Sorry, I wanted to make sure that I got that out there.
I got to do one Hennigan just in a big, huge tournament that I don't really care that much about.
Yeah, I have him in a few lineups.
All right, so prize picks. Let's do this real quick. We got 15 minutes. We need to do prize picks. We need to hit a little bit of the night slate like we like to do. Let's keep prize picks. We don't have to go too in depth into it. Some numbers I've looked at. I've really started to go to fantasy points over unders just because you can get guys who score in multiple ways, either on the ground for a quarterback or a running back who catches passes, whatever. I like that you can win multiple ways by gaining points instead of having to hit rushing yards or having to hit a touchdown or whatever. So Hendon Hooker over 21.5, Abanikanda over 12 against Duke. Austin is our Pitt insider, and he says he's been playing a little bit injured, but I think he's going to play, and it's Duke. So 12 points feels easy. And he catches a couple passes too. So
yeah,
I really like that one a lot. Sean Clifford, we've been on him for DFS. I also like him over 19. Marquise Irving over 11 feels like just stupid.
Yeah, I like that as well. I am on him in a couple different spots. I think that's a good play. Basically, you don't need a touchdown, but it'd be great if you had one. I think he can get there by himself without a touchdown. So I don't hate that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he can get there by himself without a touchdown.
Basically, everything in the passing games of UNC Wake is an over for me.
Yeah.
I don't know about the yardage, but Austin brought up Hartman over 29 this morning, fantasy points, which I think is a great line. I think Howell, same thing, right? Howell's the best dual threat quarterback in the country currently.
I know. He's also like the most elusive. It's absolutely insane.
I like, why can't we talk about Sam Howell as a Konami code quarterback the same way we talk about like Malik Willis? I'm just saying.
No, I mean, he is like, and actually he was a dual threat quarterback as a recruit, and everyone, he's done it his whole career, and everyone's like, no, he's not going to run in the pros. Yeah, I mean, he's been incredible. I mean, he's like, I saw something. He's rated as like the most elusive player, not just quarterback, like the most elusive player for PFF or something like that. Which is
so that rushing upside makes me feel really good about the Howell fantasy point as well, which I think is, I think it moved this morning. I think it was at 31, but I'm not quite sure what it's at now.
One thing I like here is Cody or Pickett under Kenny Pickett under 342 pass yards, just because I mean, it's is he going to need to throw for 350 in this game? I mean, he might throw for 350 in the first half, but it seems like worth a bet because he could easily go for like 280 and they're already up 42-0, and then they like just don't even throw again. Duke's so bad. Bryce Young, same idea, under 334 for Bryce Young. I could see them relying on Robinson and Roydell Williams today. Again, I just don't think Bryce Young's going to need to throw for 334 in their game.
Yeah.
And Travis Dye is a late slate, so we haven't talked about him too much yet, but I think they are going to pant Washington. And he's sitting at 72 yards over. I like
that. The only concern that I have there is that Washington changed up their defensive scheme last week, and they are like playing like a really different style, probably because they were so bad against the run, like really, really bad.
They were absolutely atrocious. Yeah.
So I worry about that a little bit, but I'm not that worried. I mean, it's basically still the same personnel. It's just a different scheme. So whatever. I don't care. I'll pull like Travis Dye. Like it's such a good matchup. I'm not playing any of the pass catchers in that game though, at all. Like on either side. Travis Dye is probably the only player that I'm starting.
Yeah, no, but I think he's an absolutely great start. He's just been absolutely dominant since Verdell went down. I mean, they're just feeding him. Although it's not on Prize Picks. We can talk about it when we get to the night slate here. Anybody else for you on Prize Picks? That kind of covers the guys I like most, the lines I like most.
I don't think so. I'll say Josh Downs. Again, just like he's hit 8 every game this season. Like, do we really think he's not going to hit 8 again? Like,
who's that?
Josh Downs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Receptions, right? Like, he's averaging 13 targets a game.
It's just ridiculous.
I don't know. That line just feels soft. Like they can't. It's like when they were pricing Christian McCaffrey in DFS. Like they just couldn't make it high enough. They just keep going. It's like, how high can you realistically make it before people start taking the under for Josh Downs? I mean, it's probably 9. 9 is probably where it should be, or like 8.5. So I think you're getting a little bit of value.
Who did you say was the second targeted receiver? Antoine Green for UNC? Yeah. I may do one of him. So a couple of other little updates. Braylon Sanders for Ole Miss was not announced as a starter. It's Plumlee, it's Pearson, who we kind of like anyway, but it's also Dennis Jackson, who hasn't done a whole lot lately, kind of 1 to 2 catches a game, but he was listed as a starter and he is 3,200. If you need some savings, 3,200 for a starter in the Ole Miss Liberty game, you kind of like that.
Yeah. I don't hate that. I'm just
also, okay, so yeah, let's get to the night slate real quick. We got about 10 minutes and we like to touch on this. It's not going to be very in depth. But you've got Fresno State, very fun game. Fresno Boise. I like Hainer. I like Kelly because Cropper is a little dinged up, and also just the value on Kelly. We've kind of been talking about that all year long. I like Mims. They're running back if Rivers can't go. I mean, Jordan Mims is just dominating, like 25 points a game.
Yeah, I'll play Rivers here if he's playing, but if he's not, I really like Jordan Mims. I actually might play Jordan Mims anyway. Are you playing anything on the other side of this game? Because I'm not.
No Boise. I don't think I like any Boise. I mean, Khalil Shakir is always in play for me, but he's a little expensive. But yeah, I mean, I think it's more the Fresno. We've been talking about how bad Boise's defense is all year long.
Yeah. Oh man. So I'm looking at the live line for Army Air Force. It's 30.
What just happened?
You can get it 31.5.
What is it? Just like 0-0 already?
Yeah, there's been I think 4 punts in the first 6 minutes.
Yeah. I should have taken the flipping under. Everything pointed to do it. Okay, real quick. Travis Dye, running back for Oregon. I think that's a great play. Cedric Tillman for Tennessee. We kind of talked about Tennessee. He's really caught a lot of passes lately and kind of is their number one-ish. But I mean, it's him and Velus Jones, but I think Tillman's kind of come on a little bit more lately. Marcus Washington has kind of taken over that Jordan Whittington role. Whittington's out for the season. Marcus Washington had a nice game last week, and he's only 3,800. Joshua Moore's like kicked off the team or something after an altercation, so it's going to be like Worthy and Washington. That's it. I like that. He's only 3,800. And then Roydell Williams he could be that whole Kenny McIntosh type thing where he gets like 12 carries in the second half and scores a touchdown or 2.
What's his price?
Oh, he's in the 3s.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I'm pretty certain he's in the 3s.
Yeah, I like Brian Robinson this week. I mean, I think he's going to have a big game, so why
he's
not?
Very expensive, but it makes sense that he would be good, a good play for sure. I'm trying to see here. Oh, here we go. I have the Roydell Williams. Hold on one second. His price point is he's 4,100, but
that's still not bad.
I mean, I think 15 touches is definitely in play against LSU. Do you think LSU has any backbone today? Like, do they give any resistance? Do they make this somewhat close? Okay.
No.
You heard it here first. No, a resounding no from Chris Moxley, folks.
What are they going to do?
I mean, it's an SEC, conference divisional game. Maybe, I don't know, but
Nick Saban hates LSU.
Well, yeah, it's kind of always a revenge game for him, kind of, right?
LSU, like he hates Coach O. I don't think he likes Coach O at all.
Really? I mean, I didn't know there's bad blood there.
I don't think. Well, Coach O made some comments a couple years ago about Alabama, and ever since then, like it's been Saban's mission to like dominate them at any turn he can. Yeah, there's I think there's probably he does not like LSU currently. I don't think he likes Coach O. So I think
all right. Narrative Street. Let's smash it. Narrative Street.
I got a bunch of Narrative Street this week. I'm all in. This is a great week of college football.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I will be walking around a science museum with my son, taking him for his birthday, but I'll be checking things, trying to be a good dad, but also I'm not going to be able to resist. So tune in for the Coast to Coast, our evening wrap-up show. I won't be there, but Chris, will you be there tonight?
No, I will probably be asleep.
Got it. Well, Austin, Felix, Matt, and the rest of the gang does a wrap up at I think it's usually around 10 or 11 start time. Basically, start after the main night game on ESPN is over. And be on the lookout for our slate write-ups every week. Chris writes a very extensive Saturday write-up, so you can have it handy, so you don't have to listen to the podcast, whatever. You can actually just have the written content if you'd like. We do betting cards. We do the 3 and Out contest, which we've already talked to. The Why Wait Till Sunday pod is basically a review of Chris's Chris's preview column, but also, obviously some ad-libbing and off the cuff conversation as well. And then I should have mentioned this before, but Prize Picks, we talked all about the over-unders on there. If you have not tried it yet, you really need to. It's very, very fun. And, throw in a C2C promo code. You will get a free subscription to Campus to Canton. If you're watching this, you probably already have one, but you would get a free year if you're not already a member of our, premium content. And
we might be doing a giveaway on that front in the near future too, people.
Oh, thank you, producer Austin. We are going to be doing a giveaway, I guess. Can you tell us a little more about that? Like, is it new users or what's happening there?
Just go sign up and see what happens, folks. That's all I can say at this time.
That's great advice. Just go sign up. Don't ask questions, and throw some money down on a line or two. You have to make it a parlay, so you at least have 2 bets to be rooting for. And I think I kind of like the 4-teamer or the 4-leg. The 5-leg always seems to be really tough to hit all 5. 4 is not hard, it's always challenging, but I find myself hitting the 4 legs easier. And then if you hit 3 out of 4, you get, your bet plus 50% back. So you bet $10, you'll get 15, which I think is a nice payout for 3 out of 4. And then 4 out of 4 is a 5x payout. So that's pretty nice. I like the 4-teamer or the 4 legs. And it's 11:57. We are about to kick off. Everybody, if you're watching this and you have done any of these games, good luck.
Yes, let's win some money today. I think this is a good week. Narratives
I've been
are
smoking
booming.
hot, so I'm confident. This week feels weird, though. I have to say, thinking through the lineups and stuff, it's been, and I don't know if it's a good thing because I feel like there's no smash plays other than Josh Downs. You got to play Josh Downs, but I feel like there's like no. You can make an argument for so many different combinations that I think there's not going to be like the heavy chalk other than maybe Downs, but it's going to be an interesting game. I think there's a lot of value there when there's no chalk, that your personal process can really shine if you're right, because you're not going up against super heavy chalk that everybody's on. So I think it's going to be a weird week. Maybe that means it's a good week.
Yeah, it's a weird week. We finally got some good games on the slate. I feel like they've been punking us a little bit. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and my bets, I kind of pulled back a little bit on my bets. Like, I don't have a huge card. I'm trying to be more conservative there and go heavier on the bets I'm more confident about instead of spreading out on a ton of different bets just to have a lot of action out there. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather win one big one than go 4 and 3 with a bunch of little ones, because I want to make actual money. So kind of reeled in on that a little bit, but otherwise, I guess that's all I got. Go get yourself a brewski and some chips and watch the kickoff.
Yeah. Or mimosa. I mean,